Good evening to everyone. Selamat malam. Saya mau lihat semua wajah-wajahnya dulu untuk semua teman-teman yang hadir di dalam Zoom Blockchain Technology Business Innovation and Application. Oke. So, sebelum saya mengundang langsung bintang utamanya, kita juga punya bintang utama hari ini ya. Founder dari komunitas Freedom FedNet Global. Saya akan mengundang our chief, our mentor, our founder, Bapak Onggi Hianata. Welcome, Pak Onggi.
Yes, Eileen. Okay. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, global people. Yeah, actually today I'm also a student. I want to learn more detail about blockchain. Even I know today is not all the complete lesson that we can understand all the information about blockchain. At least the basic knowledge, and we know. Knowing doesn't mean we understand everything. Okay, at least we know the basic principle of blockchain. And since this channel is a place that we learn together, I'm as a founder of FFG. I just want to reconfirm what Eileen said just now, that we are not offering you any new product regarding blockchain business. This is pure 100% is a lesson that as a founder of FFG, I understand that we must open mind and grow accordingly. And since the world is changing so fast, I think it's a matter of time, this kind of technology that we will apply. I believe many countries will apply these technologies. Before really happen, I think as a leaders in what I learned, that we must open mind and learn also for what is happening today. Okay, so I just reconfirm that we are not offering you new product, okay, regarding blockchain product, whatever. Okay, pure learning. What is blockchain? Okay. Okay, happy learning. Hopefully today and tomorrow I will learn more, and hopefully you also learn more. Then hopefully it's useful, this information, this knowledge, and usable and really effective in our future, that we need this kind of technology to develop our business and the other facility. Okay, so happy learning. Send my love, send my regards to all our family around the world. So enjoy learning. So I go back to our fantastic MC, Eileen from Surabaya. Thank you, Ling. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Pak Onggi. You are so humble, because this time that you said that you are a student, and actually we are all also students. We learn from you, and today we learn a new about the blockchain technology. Thank you so much again and again. You show the example to every one of us. Again, welcome to every one of you. Maybe this is the first time you join with us with our community, Freedom FedNet Global. Okay, now I don't want to take time too long for you, because I know today is time also for me to learn about the blockchain technology, the day one, about the blockchain basic. So let me introduce you, amazing person. Yanis Puste is coming from Latvia, and he's in the industry of financial more than 70 years. And now he's become one of the CEO of Emirates Bank Digital Bank. And also now he stay also in Indonesia, and also citizen of the world. I know is always traveling around the world. And thank you so much also for your time, Yanis, because you share with us, and then we can learn from you also. So please welcome our amazing mentor for today, Mr. Yanis Puste.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining today. Thank you very much, Ibu Ailing, for introduction. Paongi, thank you very much for introduction and for arranging and for making this happen in the first place. So today we will talk. Hopefully, we will learn together. We will talk. We will discuss about blockchain and blockchain adaptation into different businesses. So I just want to make clear, because blockchain is very technical. So obviously I'm also, as Ibu Ailing said, so I'm not a technical or IT person. So I can explain blockchain from the business perspective. Okay, so how different type of businesses. I fully assume that maybe some of you are way their technical developments are way better than my technical developments. So if you from the technical standpoint you know better, then my apologies about that. But so today we will discuss about the business standpoint. So just to make it very clear that it's not, maybe a little disclaimer. So disclaimer before we start, it's no everything what we discussed today is purely for educational purposes, and it's should not be considered or taken as any type of advice or suggestion that you should invest your money somewhere, and you should not get it from this presentation. But okay, so when that is out of the way, then we can go to the slides. Okay. Can everyone see the screen? Okay. Okay, perfect. So if you want to take notes, you are more than welcome to take notes. If you want to take a picture of the screen so that you just don't have to take notes, you are welcome to do that as well. So all the information is available for you, and at the end we will try to have discussion. So maybe a Q&A session or a discussion session of how we together believe or think how this can be adapted in the future of the world. So first of all, welcome to the blockchain. So it's just a blockchain basics, because obviously it's hard to compress everything, especially such a wide matter as blockchain, in 2 hours. So today we will discuss on the blockchain basics, what is blockchain, why it is blockchain, and how blockchain could be used in various businesses and industries around the world. And the bottom line, my bottom line, is to show you and to explain you that blockchain is not a cryptocurrency. Okay, so that the all FUD and all the all the information around now the blockchain, it seems to be that it's only goes to cryptocurrencies. But hopefully by the end of today's session you will realize, and or you will, I will remind you, if some of you already knew that, or maybe you will just refresh your memory, that blockchain is not a cryptocurrency. Okay, so it's way bigger than that. So it's a basics to for you as a guide to all things blockchain, okay, and how it can be integrated with businesses. Maybe by the end of this session, you will have idea how you can integrate blockchain with your business, or maybe with your family business, or maybe you will have some other ideas with other businesses. Okay. Well, it has been said that blockchain blockchain can do for transactions, any type of transactions. So not just money transactions, any type of transactions, what internet did for information. So what does that actually mean? So that means is that blockchain allows increased trust and efficiency in the exchange of almost anything. Okay, so anything that you could exchange, anything that you could transfer, you could transfer information, money, anything, you could technically utilize blockchain. And if used properly, it would increase the trust and efficiency. So of course, during this session, we will climb the ladder and we will move step by step. So blockchain is profoundly changing how the world works, and blockchain has been around for quite a few years already, and it's changing many industries. So if you have ever bought a house, then obviously you know all the paperwork. So different countries, different paperwork, but then you know that there are a lot of paperwork that you have to sign. Also, depending how you are buying the house, are you buying it cash? Are you leasing it, or you taking credit, or any other? Maybe you are utilizing other product as a collateral to be able to pay up for your house. But any instance, even if you're paying cash, in most of the countries, there is a huge stack of papers from different parties that you have to sign. And only once it's signed, then the transaction would happen. If you have ever registered the vehicle, again, different countries have different ways of doing that. In Indonesia, maybe there is simplified ways if you are paying agents. But if you have ever registered vehicle in any country, you actually would understand that the process is quite time consuming, and it can be quite confusing as well. And probably worst would be medical records. So if you go to hospital and if you have to show your full medical history and the communication also between a hospital, doctor, and your insurance agent and insurance company, that is extremely challenging. Okay, and that wastes a lot of time. So blockchain, most simply defined as a shared immutable ledger. Okay, so it's basically technologically redefines all these processes. Okay, and this would make our life, our business, our everyday a lot easier. Of course, we have to remember that we are just in the beginning of the blockchain adoption. Hence, it will still take quite a few years for us to understand, and for most people to understand, what actually is blockchain and how does the blockchain works. Now, one thing I would want to make very clear, okay, so when I talk about blockchain today, I'm not talking about Bitcoin. Okay, I'm not talking about Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. I'm talking about underlying digital foundation that supports the applications, well, most commonly known applications such as Bitcoin, but later down the line, we will touch all the other applications that are that could be built on a blockchain technology. Okay, so the blockchain technology expands way beyond Bitcoin, way beyond cryptography. It is extremely vast. Now, because you are here today, now I would like to assume that whether you are coming from technical business side or not, then blockchain is a relatively new thing to you. Well, blockchain is a relatively new thing to me and to everyone else because it is just a new thing worldwide. So there would be probably some people that would classify themselves as blockchain professionals. I personally, I don't classify myself as a blockchain professional. I would classify myself as a blockchain student. I'm studying blockchain. I try to learn something on daily basis, and it is something It is similar as internet in late 1990s, that people thought that internet is just a website, and that there were so many companies just building websites and so many companies coming out. So it's very similar to what's happening with blockchain at this moment. So most people believe that blockchain is cryptocurrencies, and there are too many of them out there. So we are in very, very early stage. We are really, really in early stage. And if 20 years ago, let's say 25 years ago, nobody could imagine how important part of our life is internet. And if we are being honest today, could you imagine your life without internet? If you want, you can answer in a chat. Could you imagine your life now today without internet? Well, personally, me, I would not be able to imagine my life without internet at this moment. Well, one of the factors would be because I'm in finance sector, but I remember, because I cannot speak about other industries, unfortunately, but I can only speak about the sectors that I'm involved. So let's say in financial sector, my role when I was trading before 2004, okay, my role as a trader was extremely time consuming, and basically most of us were in the dark. Just to give you an example, so let's say today, if I want to trade Indonesia stocks, any company, I can know what is the actual price now, today, at this second. I can know what was the opening price of the day, or this minute, or this hour. And there are many ways that we can follow it. Before that, even in 2003, 2002, when there was internet, but the adoption of it was quite poor. So even though we had the internet, but there were not so many platforms built on it, there was not enough information built on it. So my job as a trader was extremely hard, because every single hour I had to call to exchange. So every single hour I had to call to exchange and ask about the companies that are in my interest. The companies, what was the opening price of that hour? What was the highest price during that hour? What was the lowest price during that hour? And then when some other platforms came, then we could key in this data manually ourselves. And then before that, we used spreadsheets. And nowadays we don't have to do it. So now we don't have to do it, for the better or for the worst. So every person have to decide. So I'm not saying that the internet, it comes only with the benefits and then there is no downside. But for most of us, it would be extremely hard. We would not have this conversation today if there would not be internet. It would be impossible. So if we compare, if we talk about blockchain, then we have to remember the internet, because in my opinion, it's very similar. The blockchain adoption and internet adoption is very similar. The bubbles in the financial sector is probably also very similar. So let's remember that blockchain and internet is actually very similar when it comes to the basics. So what actually is blockchain? Okay, so what actually is blockchain? So blockchain is shared ledger that facilitates the process of recording transactions, tracking assets in a business network. So blockchain is basically a business network. Okay, so it's not money. It's just a business network that helps us to record transactions and track the assets. Doesn't matter, is it It could be tangible asset like a car, house, money, land, or also it could be intangible asset like intellectual property, patents, copyrights, branding. So in simple terms, blockchain is this ledger is a business network that helps us to record and track all the transactions, all the owners, and all the assets. So in simple terms, that's it. Okay, so further on, we will learn how it happens. Some are a bit technical side, some are not, but we will learn how it happens. So virtually anything of value can be tracked and traded on a blockchain network. And if used properly, it would reduce risk as well as cut costs. Okay, so why do I say if used properly? Because honestly, today, I don't think that there is, I might be wrong, but I don't think that there is any company that 100% uses it properly. Not yet. Because again, if we compare it with the internet, if we compare today's websites with websites in 2000 or in 1999, then obviously those would be completely incomparable things. So that would be the same thing with the blockchain. Okay, so the adoption is extremely basic. But if used properly, then virtually anything of value would be tracked and traded on the blockchain business network. It would definitely cut our costs. It would make it way quicker. And it also would reduce the risk for the buyer and for the seller. Now, for us to actually move forward with the blockchain and to see where the blockchain is going to be going, we have to think why the blockchain, how the blockchain was made in the first place. And we can get better understanding of blockchain by exploring the actual context in which the blockchain was developed. Okay, so and why the blockchain was developed in the first place. Well, it was developed in a context that there is a need for an efficient, cost-effective, reliable, and secure system for conducting and recording financial transactions. So that was the context of why the blockchain was developed in the first place. So it was in the need of, number one, efficient, number two, cost-effective, number three, reliable, and number four, secure system to conduce. Well, in a context, it was for financial transactions. But now we know there is any type of transactions that we can conduce on a blockchain system. Okay, so, and if we really think about it, why do we need different system? And if we learn from the history, then we will understand that there have been many different systems. Okay, and they have evolved a lot. So throughout the history, the systems and trust instruments like shells, I'm talking about actual shells. So hundreds of thousands of years ago, people used shells as a means of transaction. After that, it was gold, silver, minted coins, paper money, letter of credit. So I mean, like bank credit letters, SBLCs, bank guarantees, banking systems with the SWIFT system, with SEPA system, Fedwire system. These systems have emerged to facilitate the exchange of value. And why? To protect buyers and sellers. Okay, so if we would live hundreds of thousands of years ago, the trade between me in Latvia and you in Indonesia would be impossible. So we would need a middle party, right? So we would need somebody to come to Indonesia, buy spices, and then they would sell them to me in Latvia. It would be impossible for me buy spices from you directly from Indonesia unless I'm coming to Indonesia in the first place. Okay. Today, due to the internet, potentially I can look for a supplier, but then again, for me to make a payment, there has to be this this level of trust. Okay, that both of us have to agree that if I make the payment, then you will deliver the goods, or if you start delivering the goods, that I will make the payment. So that there is this trust component. So that means even today, we do need a better system and newer system. Okay, so and there has always been innovation. There has always been innovation in this instruments of trust. Okay, so from shells, it moved to gold and silver, then it moved to minted coins, then it moved to paper money. After that, now if you make big orders, so let's say if you're purchasing a lot of oil from Shell or from any other company, you're not directly transferring money, but you're issuing standard letter of credit. So your bank will guarantee that you will make the payment once you have received the goods. So we are evolving in this system. Okay, so innovations like phones, credit card systems, internet, mobile technologies, SWIFT systems, this is just a step by step. Okay, so this is just one step further, one step further, one step better of how to get better instrument of trust. Okay, by sending cash. So again, let's say if I'm purchasing from Latvia something from you from Indonesia, let's say I would have to pay 1 million rupiah for, let's say I would want to buy luwak coffee from Indonesia. Indonesia is famous with their luwak coffee. So I'm a big coffee lover. So I would want to buy a luwak coffee from Indonesia. So you would charge me, let's say, 2.5 million rupiah for a bag of luwak coffee. If we would not have this innovation, like internet, phone lines, SWIFT system, credit card system, how would I deliver this money to you? Would I send it by post? That means I have to put a huge trust in a post system. Should I send a post pigeon? How do I get this money across the world? So that's why there was the need for the SWIFT system and banking system, because otherwise it would be impossible. Okay, so and that's why now we have the innovation of the blockchain technology that potentially could make it better. Now, all these technologies like phones, credit cards, internet, SWIFT, banking systems, what they basically did is they improved the convenience of transactions. They improved the convenience, speed, and efficiency. Okay, so imagine how efficient nowadays is to do transactions. Like even in your business or any business, it's way more efficient nowadays than it was 100 years ago. Now, basically what we have done nowadays, we have eliminated the distance between buyers and sellers. So I can go on Amazon, or I can go on Alibaba. I can find a supplier in China and buy anything from supplier in China on Alibaba. That eliminates the distance. So I could be sitting in Indonesia and the seller could be sitting in China, or I could be sitting in Latvia and the seller could be sitting in Uruguay. and we would be able to do the transaction. That's because of the internet. So the information side, internet have settled the information side. So we don't have the distance between buyers and sellers when it comes to information side. But one thing that internet did not settle was the supply chain issues, because that is just supplier. They have to communicate with the factory. Do they actually have that stuff? After we make a payment, how long do we have to make payment? So even though there is no distance anymore between buyer and seller, there are still some hardships that actually consist that we still have in today's business. So in spite of the fact that we don't have actual physical distance anymore between buyers and sellers, like now between you and me, technically we don't have physical distance at this moment, because we are able to be at the same place, the same time. We are able to discuss between ourselves in live environment. So in spite of this, eliminating this physical distance, many business transactions are still inefficient. They are expensive, and they are quite vulnerable and they are suffering from following limitations. So what type of limitations are those? Okay, so cash is useful only in a local transactions and relatively small amounts. So let's say if I would be buying house, let's say I would want to buy a house from Pa Onggi. I would want to buy a house from Pa Onggi, but I would want to pay in cash. Okay, so let's say Pa Onggi tells me, okay, Yanis, I will sell you my house. This is just example. I don't know how much is Pa Onggi house worth. I'm just giving example. So Pa Onggi says, Yanis, I will sell you my house 15 billion rupiah. Would I want to bring 15 billion rupiah in cash? That means I have to hire a small truck just to bring that amount of money. Okay, that's one thing. Number two, that transaction is only possible if myself and Pa Onggi are at the same place, in the same location, locally. Cash transaction is not possible unless we're using money changers and so on. Cash transaction would not be possible if I'm sitting here in Bali and Pa Onggi is in Jakarta. Or if I am in Latvia or Pa Onggi is in Indonesia, this cash transaction is no longer possible. So cash has limitations. Okay, so limitation of cash is that it's only useful in local transaction, and it's only useful when the amount is relatively small. Now, the other limitation for current systems is the time between the transactions and settlements. Okay, so I'll give you example. Okay, so this is real life example. So real life example is stock market is down at this moment, so it's lower than the year started. So in my opinion, it's good time to buy some stocks. So what I do is I want to transfer some money into my stock trading account, into my US stock trading account. Okay, so I do the transaction on Friday. My stockbroker is in Singapore. Okay, but I do transactions from Indonesia to Singapore from US dollars. So on Friday, I do the transaction. On Friday, bank is not sending money out yet because it's end of the week. They want to keep the money. They want to receive some overnight rate. Again, that's their business, no problem. So they send it out on Monday. They prepare to send the money out. Okay, on Monday they prepare to send money out. On Tuesday, let's say it's get passed to the central branch in Indonesia. Wednesday was a holiday. So the Wednesday money was not sent out. So Thursday money was actually sent out. Today is Friday. On Thursday, the stocks that I wanted to buy are already 20% higher than they were on Friday. My money is not in my trading account in Singapore by today. So most likely my money will be in on Monday. So what happens? It means that I have missed 20% of profit, correct? Because on Friday, let's say the stocks were example, that's a real life example. So the price actually is 20% higher. But a real life example is that, example, on Friday, the stock price that what I wanted to buy was $100, but today is 120. So if I would be able to buy it on Friday night, that means I would be 20% in profit today, right? But because current system is not as effective as we think, I'm not making this 20%. Now, I'm not complaining, I'm just giving you a real life example, because this is actually what happened during this week. Okay, so again, why did that happen? Because it's two different countries. Countries have different holidays. Okay, so you combine two different systems together, and then you have some delays. Okay, and then we as end users, we are ending paying it for it one way for another. Okay, so that's my example. So that's why the time between transactions and settlements can be very long. Okay, it should be 3 to 5 days, but if you have holidays in between, it could be 7 days or maybe longer. Also, what is the another limitation is the duplication of effort and the need of the third-party validation. Okay, so that means we need an intermediary for us to validate and for our transaction to be efficient. So let's say Ibu Ailing. Let's say let's say Ibu Ailing is being very generous, and Ibu Ailing wants to send me money. Okay, so for whatever reason, she cannot. Ibu Ailing cannot send me money directly, but has to go through bank. So that means there has to be a third-party validation. So there has to be intermediary. Okay, you cannot deliver the money to your friend or to your family member directly. There has to be a third-party validation. So when you have the third-party validation or intermediary, what happens? That increases your costs. So if you send, let's say, $1,000, your friend or family member will not receive $1,000. Or for them to receive $1,000, you will pay some costs. Okay, you will pay, let's say, $50, $100, depending what type of system you are using. Okay, so that's the third limitation. Fourth limitation, fraud, cyber attacks, even simple mistakes. So I'm pretty sure that any of you have had this, that let's say you're going to the bank, and especially when you are doing foreign transactions or even local transactions. Let's say you go to the bank, you fill in your transfer form, but you mistype wrong account number, or you type the name wrong. Okay, just because you type the name wrong, let's say if I would send, let's say if somebody would send me money, and if they would write my name with JANISS with 2 S, the bank would not accept this transaction. So this transaction would be invalid because the name is wrong. So even the small mistake could have a huge implication of the transaction. Now, also the credit card organizations, they have high price entries at this moment. Okay, so merchants, if you are a merchant, you have to pay quite a bit of costs. Okay, that comes out from your payments. You have high costs of onboarding. Okay, so if you are a online shop that want to be, I'm not talking about Tokopedia and others, but let's say if you are a Tokopedia and if you want to onboard with all of these payment gateways, OVO, BCA Bank, and so on, you have quite a bit of high costs. Most people don't know that. Well, maybe they know, but there's a lot of costs. So just by onboarding with one provider could cost you between $10,000 to $30,000. Okay, so let's say next time when you order tickets online and you see that, oh, that I can directly pay with my BCA Bank or I can pay directly with credit card, then you know that this company, they have spent between $10,000 to $30,000 just to integrate with MasterCard. Okay, and that's the reason why they have to charge transaction fees, because they want to break even, obviously. Now, but in my opinion, the biggest limitation what we have at this moment is half of the world of people. So half of the world, of the whole population of the people, don't even have access to the bank accounts. So 50% of the worldwide population today don't even have access to bank accounts. That means that what they have to do is they have to go, they cannot go to the bank, they go to different party. They need a parallel payment system to conduct the transaction. So we are, all of us are part of this financial system, world financial system, but 50% of us are using parallel system because they are not able to connect to the current one. So that's a huge limitation. And of course, there is limited transparency and inconsistent information when it comes to efficient movement. And I'm not talking about the money only. So when it comes to actually movement in goods, especially in shipping industry. So it's like really limited transparency. So how the tracking works of the shipment and how the tracking works in a shipping industry is really not transparent at all, and is quite a bit inefficient. So those are the limitations of the current system. So now you, so that is just to explain you and give you the preamble why somebody thought of the blockchain technology in the first place. Okay, because maybe for us as a end user, maybe it looks okay, so current system works fine. But for people that are involved in different type of businesses, let's say like my example in financial industry, yes, current system works fine, but delay of 5 days cost me 20% potential profit. Okay, so it's just to give you example. So maybe for other people, they would have different example of the current current system. Now, I'm not saying that the current system is bad. I'm just saying that we as human beings have always tried, because we are lazy, we have always tried to improve the current system. Okay, so people wanted to move from one place to another place quicker. They made a bicycle. Then people decided, I'm too lazy to spin my legs, to spin the bike. It's too much effort. So what they did, they made a motorbike. What happens next? Okay, so I can sit on a motorbike. I have wife, my wife can sit on a motorbike, but we cannot take kids. Of course, I know here in Indonesia, I've seen 7 people on motorbikes, but okay, let's if we move from that away, okay, so, and there is rain and there is a wind. Okay, so then they made a car. So every single innovation happens because we want to be in places quicker, more efficient, and because we are lazy. And every single innovation works that way, in my opinion. Now, transaction volumes worldwide are growing exponentially. And surely, because there are more and more people, every single year there are more people than the year before. And our transaction volumes, not only banking transaction volumes, but every single transaction volumes are growing exponentially. Like, we could not compare the transaction volumes that were 5 years ago and today. Okay. And it will magnify the complexities and vulnerabilities and inefficiencies, as well as costs of the current transaction systems. Now, the growth of e-commerce, online banking, and in-app purchases, coupled with the increasing mobility of people around the world, have fueled huge inflows of transactions. Okay, so again, that is to preamble you the reason. So all these limitations and the growing amount of the transactions, as well as collective effort to be better in bookkeeping and to be more transparent and more trustworthy. So all of these factors combined actually made a base of why the blockchain technology was developed and came as an idea in the first place. And when more and more people discussed, when more and more people decided, when technically averse people came to talking, then the idea and the birth of blockchain was there. So the birth, and here for us to actually talking about blockchain here today, I did mention in the beginning that we're not going to talk about cryptocurrencies, but for this purpose alone, I have to mention that probably if it would not be for Bitcoin, then we would not be talking about blockchain. Okay, because even though those are completely two different things, then we have to say thank you to Bitcoin, because it just became a big thing, and then more people talk about blockchain. So the birth of blockchain, we have to understand that Bitcoin was built on a foundation of blockchains, and basically it is a shared ledger. So we can think of a blockchain as an operating system. So blockchain is an operating system, just like Microsoft Windows or Linux or Mac, AOS. So it's just an operating system. So blockchain is an operating system that hopefully in the future would be as a base for our transactions, any type of transactions. And cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin is just one application only one application. Okay, so let's say like on internet nowadays, we can send emails, we can have website, we can have video calls, we can have we can find information, we can have streaming services, so we can watch movies, we can listen music, we can do everything on internet. So that's the same thing with blockchain. So we cannot say that internet is a website anymore. There are way more applications. There are way more applications than just a website. So yeah, so I just have a question in a chat room. So basically it is, so blockchain has been, yeah, that's true. So just to answer the question, yes, blockchain exists before Bitcoin, and blockchain does not exist because of the Bitcoin. No, Bitcoin exists because of the blockchain. So that is the common misunderstanding that people actually think. So just to answer the question in the chat, that yes, that people think that blockchain exists because of the cryptos or Bitcoin, then no, that's not true. You are completely right that yes, blockchain existed before Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is not the reason why blockchain exists, but blockchain is the reason why Bitcoin exists. So without blockchain, there would not be Bitcoin in the first place. Okay, so because you cannot have an application. So let's say most of you probably use Microsoft Office, or maybe Apple Pages when you have to write some documents, right? I think most of the common applications would be Microsoft Office or Apple Pages. Well, at least to my knowledge, I don't know any other applications. I'm pretty sure there are, but so let's say I use Microsoft Office to write some documents. Without Microsoft Windows, there would not be Microsoft Office, right? Okay, so without Microsoft Windows, there would not be Microsoft Office. And that's the same way, without blockchain, there would not be Bitcoin. So to answer the statement question in a chat, then yes, so basically without blockchain, there would not be Bitcoin. Okay, so that's the maybe simplistic way how to look at things. So basically, blockchain provides the means for any transactions, including the Bitcoin transactions, to be on a shared ledger. Okay, and this shared ledger can be used to record any transactions. It doesn't have to be crypto transactions. It can be used to record any transaction that is done on that network, every single transaction. Okay, so, and it also opens that anyone that is linked to this network can verify, validate, and oversee these transactions. Okay, so again, anyone who is linked to this business network can verify, validate, oversee, and monitor these transactions. So to give you an example, so if when you are sending money in a bank, okay, for, let's say, if I would be sending money to any of you, and I would be telling you I sent you money already. So let's say I sent you money from Australia. So it would take few days for you to receive my money here in Indonesia, right? But for you, there is no way for you to verify if my transaction is real or not. You can go to the bank with a MT103 proof, and you can validate from the bank, but you yourself, you cannot verify if my transaction is true or not, correct? Like if you really think about it, can you verify that the transaction is real without calling the bank? I don't think that any of you would be able to verify. I don't think that I'm able to verify if somebody if somebody sends me a proof of transaction, unless it's it's clearly fake. But there is no way to verify. There is no way to verify also if the transaction has been passed through or no. Did it already went to the did it already go to the Nostral account? Did it already go to the corresponding bank? Did the corresponding bank release the money? Because how it works through the bank, so we have our sending bank, then it goes to the corresponding bank, and then the corresponding bank to send it to the receiving bank. So without you sending a tracer, a SWIFT tracer through your bank, honestly, you don't know where the transaction is at this moment, correct? Well, I would say yes, correct, because if you don't have the access to the SWIFT system, you don't know. Also saying that if I am buying something and somebody else is sending me, okay, if somebody is sending me something from China, unless I go through third-party verification, so if I have DHL tracker, and if DHL does not update their website, I will have no idea where is the item that I bought from China, correct? So now you understand what I mean about being less efficient than we think, because somebody have to update these systems. And then what you have, so we will, maybe I'm jumping through it. So we will discuss actually how it works and how it would look on real business basis. Okay, so basically what blockchain can do, blockchain can revolutionize the traditional business network. Okay, so maybe I hope that today's session is not too boring, because it is slightly more technical and it's more moving parts. So I just hope that you have some kind of understanding. I believe that the financial part, so tomorrow's session, blockchain adoption in finance, is a little bit more interesting, but we have to go through this first. So we have to go through this first, so all of us understand that is a lot more than we thought. So we just gonna paddle through this. So blockchain genuinely, and I'm very passionate about this, because when I understood what this actually means for the future of any business in the world, it's actually I'm getting quite passionate about it. So it will help us to revolutionize any business network, any single business network. I'm not talking about financial business. I'm talking about any single business network out there. So with the traditional methods, okay, so with traditional methods for recording transactions and tracking assets, participants on a network keep their own ledgers and their records. So each of the parties involved have their own ledger. Okay, they have their own database, they have their own information, what they have done, and it leaves a lot room for error. Okay, so this traditional method is expensive, because every single company, every single party involved in a business network, they have to maintain their own ledger. Maintaining their own ledger means that you need staff, you need systems, you have to develop, and it becomes expensive. So these traditional methods can be expensive, partially because it involves intermediaries, because imagine if you are a small company and if you have to develop your own system, most likely you will outsource somebody, okay? Because you don't have enough staff, so you will outsource. When you outsource people, it becomes more expensive, because you have intermediaries, they charge fees for their services. And it's happening nowadays as well. It's happening nowadays. It's happening here in Indonesia and in the rest of the world. For simple things, most companies use intermediaries. And the moment you use intermediaries, you will pay fees. Okay, for big businesses, it's good. For smaller businesses, it can actually kill the business. Okay. Also, the inefficient part is during delays executing the agreements. Okay, so in my own company, I also have delays in executing the agreements due to the workforce and other factors involved. So of course, like in my business, blockchain tech, and again, not the financial side, but let's say even the agreement side. If our agreements would be built on a blockchain technology, it would streamline my business. Okay, it would streamline the business, and it would be way more convenient For our company, it would be way more convenient for clients as well. So, and that is just for the agreement side. So I'm not talking about any money transaction side. So that would be on agreement side. Then the duplication. Okay, because when the person, when there is a Murphy's law says if something can go wrong, then it's gonna go wrong. So that means when there is a room for human error that something can be duplicated, most of the time, at some point that will happen. Okay, so companies can issue 2 agreements. Companies can issue 2 agreements with the same account number, and then you will have issue. Or companies can issue agreements. Let's say if I buy something and another person buy something at the same time, my agreement could be sent to the other client and his agreement could be sent to me. That's a part of human error that can go wrong in a current system. Okay, and currently every single party involved in any business network, they maintain numerous of ledgers. Also, it is very vulnerable because there is, well, number one, there is their central system, let's say like a bank, is compromised. It could be compromised fraud. It could be a cyber attack. It could be simple mistake. So you could have a bank teller just making a mistake. So instead of, imagine just a simple mistake. Instead of taking $100,000, you add 1 0 and it becomes $1 million. Just a small, simple mistake. But yet it's huge mistake. Depending on which side you are. If you are expecting to receive $100,000, but you receive $1 million, you are very happy. But imagine if you were expecting to pay $100,000, but you paid $1 million. I don't think you would be very happy, even though you could reverse the transaction and sooner or later you would get your money back. You would have a headache, right? And you would have unnecessary, you are going through unnecessary things that you have to do to get your money back. Does that make sense? So the blockchain technology, so the blockchain architecture gives participants the ability to share a ledger altogether. So instead of all the network participants having their own individual ledger, blockchain technology allows us to share one ledger together. Okay, so why we cannot do it in a current system? Because if bank would give all their clients access to their system, of course people, being people, they would want to commit some kind of fraud. That's why currently, based on current system, we cannot have a shared ledger. That's why each business network participant have to maintain their own ledger. But on a blockchain technology, because of the blockchain architecture, it gives us, every single business network participant, it gives us ability to share a ledger that's updated through peer-to-peer replication each time a new transaction occurs. So each time there would be a new transaction, there would be peer-to-peer replication. Now, peer-to-peer replication means that each participant, you could call it a node. So you could say it's like a small server. So each participant in a network acts as both publisher and subscriber. So that means each of the network participants, each of these nodes, they are verifying the information. And because each of the network participants, so of course it's done technically, so it's not like you're manually verifying, it's done by the computer, because there are thousands and thousands, depending on business network. You can have a big business network or smaller business network, because there are hundreds or thousands of these network participants that are verifying the information. And it has to be matched At the same time, it eliminates the possibility of fraud, because you cannot just change one number. You would have to change every single number in the network. And it has to be done at the same time. You cannot change them one by one, because that means that one of the network participants won't be able to verify. And when one is not able to verify, that means the information isn't invalid anymore. And when the information is invalid anymore, that means something went wrong. So with the help of the blockchain technology, because of this information verification, all the transactions, financial and non-financial, could be done a lot quicker. Now, each of the nodes, network participants, okay, so each of the nodes or network participants can receive or send transaction to another node, and the data is synchronized across the network. So the moment my node does some transaction, the whole data is synchronized on the shared centralized ledger. Okay, and that's the reason why, if done properly, the transaction information transfer, it eliminates the factor of fraud. Now, the blockchain network is economical and efficient because it eliminates duplication of effort and reduces the need of intermediaries. So now, if you are connected to the blockchain network, and if I'm connected to the same blockchain network, we can exchange information, assets, transactions between you and me directly. So if I would assume maybe that some of you still cannot grasp what is the meaning, because you would think, oh, but if I want to send something, I have to go through exchange or what? No, that's not correct. Because I don't know other people, but let's say I've heard that Paongi is interested in new technologies, and Paongi was in Miami as well. So let's say if I would want to send a digital asset to Paongi, I wouldn't even need to go through exchange, as long as I know the credentials of Paongi's address on the blockchain network. Okay, so I don't even have to go through exchange. So that means without intermediaries, we can exchange the information. Without intermediaries, we can exchange the assets. Okay, so as long as you are connected to this business network, if both of us are on the same business network, we are able to transact without intermediaries, actually. So hope that was actually the whole base, and that was the idea of the blockchain technology. So, and because of that, because we don't need intermediaries, that means it becomes cheaper, it becomes more economical, it eliminates duplication of network, it reduces the need of intermediaries, and it is also less vulnerable. Why? Because all the information have to be synchronized. So each of the network participants have to validate. So if one digit is wrong, then everyone will know that. So the participants in both transaction systems are the same, okay? So what changes is that the transaction record is now shared and available to all parties. So imagine if you do a bank transaction, and instead of you calling to the bank and asking, okay, so I send my money on Friday to New York, or I send my money to Europe, can I check, is my money already received in corresponding bank or in receiving bank? Has it cleared already? You have to ask to the bank. But through blockchain network, you don't have to do that anymore, because the ledger is shared and available to all parties involved. So you have free information. So that means that in live, you would have the same information as a bank. You would know where is your money, or you would know where is your stuff that you bought at any time during the day. And that's amazing. Now, in my opinion, blockchain network has a few key characteristics. Okay, so we have the consensus. It's for transactions to be valid, all participants must agree on its validity. Okay, so we will see after this. So we will touch step by step what is consensus. Okay, so but again, each participant must agree. Now we have the provenance. Now provenance is that participants know where the asset came from and how its ownership has changed over time. Okay, so we will go to examples also in a few minutes. But let's say example, if you would want to know the history of, let's say you're buying phone. Okay, so if you are buying phone, if you're buying second-hand phone. Okay, maybe none of you have bought second-hand phone, but many people still buy second-hand phones. Okay, so so if you buy a second-hand phone, obviously you would want to know who was the previous owner. But currently, we don't have this information. It's just based on trust. But if all the transactions would be done on a blockchain network, you would be able to validate who was the previous owner. Okay, so and then you can decide do you want to buy this asset or no. In my opinion, that's quite amazing. Immutability. So no participant can tamper with the transaction after it has been recorded to the ledger. Okay, so if transaction has an error, a new transaction must be used to reverse the error, and both transactions are then visible. So even if you had an error transaction, it is visible on a blockchain network. Okay, so you cannot delete anything from the blockchain network. So once it is on a blockchain network, it will be there. Okay, so you cannot just delete it. And finality. So finality is a single shared ledger provides a place to go to determine the ownership of an asset or the completion of the transaction. Okay, so on a shared ledger, you can validate who was the owner of any asset that was transacted on a blockchain, and you can also validate has the transaction been completed or no. Okay, so and we will in a next section we will go into examples. So just so I can give you example, because maybe with some visual tools it's going to be easier to understand. But I do hope that you have some small understanding already. Okay, so now we're gonna go into examples. Okay, so examples, so you can actually visualize visualize how the blockchain application could work. Okay, so imagine a car companies. Okay, so we have car manufacturers, we have car companies, and when you lease a company, so if you lease a company in Europe, it seems easy, but actually it's very complicated. So leasing means in Indonesia you don't have a lease. Well, yeah, you can buy a car on a credit. Okay, so you credit a car. So it seems easy, but there's actually so many different parties involved. Okay, so car companies make it look easy, but in reality it's actually very, very complicated. Now a big challenge faced today by car leasing companies, because you have different companies involved. So you have manufacturer, and then you have a company that is leasing, and then you have a bank. So it's not the same institution. It's actually 3 different companies. So the challenge is that car leasing network is that even though the physical supply chain is usually integrated, the supporting systems are fragmented. So there is no and that's why there is a huge waiting time. Okay, so there's big waiting time. So each party within the network maintain their own ledger. Okay, so now I will show you tables so you will understand better. So each party, they maintain their own ledgers. Okay, which can take days or weeks to synchronize. Okay, by using a blockchain technology. So I will show you two different ways. So by using a blockchain technology, we can actually synchronize within a minute or a second. Okay, so this is the first example how it works now. Okay, so you have a manufacturer, and manufacturer, they have their own database, correct? They have their own ledger. Then you have a dealer, so you have car dealership, which they have their own database, they have their own ledger. Then you have the leasing company, which they have their own ledger. Then you have the leasee, okay, so user, which which don't have the access to other ledgers apart from themselves. And then you have, when the car is already old, what do you do is you have to scrap it. Okay, so I'm not too sure how in Indonesia or other Asian countries work, but let's say in Europe, we cannot just leave our car at the side of the road. We are responsible that we have to scrap the car if it's no longer drivable. So we have to scrap it. Okay, and then you change the ownership. Okay, so the ownership is changed from the manufacturer to dealer to the leasing company to the owner, and in the end, then you scrap it, and then you basically delist your company, and then all of these parties report to the regulator, right? Because when you have to register your car, then each of these parties, they have to report to the regulator. So when a manufacturer make the car, there is a serial number. It comes to Indonesia. It goes to the dealer. Dealer has to report to the regulator, have to get the car plate number. Then it goes to the leasing company. So every single party have to report to the regulator. Okay. So this is how the tracking vehicle ownership without blockchain works. So now my question would be, if you are a manufacturer, okay, and I hope that you could participate in a chat room for this particular question. So if you are a manufacturer, okay, so imagine you are Toyota. So that there are some Toyota factories also here in Indonesia. So let's say you are Toyota and you are building Toyota Fortuner, and you want to get the data, how many percent of Toyota Fortuners end up in scrapyard? So how many of Toyota Fortuners are scrapped within 5 years? So what do you have to do? How would you even track this information? Would that be easy information to track now, or would that be hard information to track now? Hard. Yeah. Sulit, yeah, hard. Very hard information, because where do you even start? Do you start calling all scrapyards? Do you go to regulator? Because regulator, they're not sharing their in-house ledger with you. So how do we even start to get this data? So if me, I don't even know where would I start actually to get this data if we really think of it. So, or put it this way, this is car. Now imagine the same thing with phones. Okay, so let's say in Indonesia, everyone, mostly people are using Apple. So you have most of the people in Indonesia have the newest iPhones already. So imagine you are Apple and you want to know how many people that bought Apple 11 as a first-hand user are still using Apple 11. How do we get this information? Let's say if I bought Apple 11, am I still using iPhone 11, or maybe I gave it to my daughter, or I gave it away, or I gave it to somebody else? So do they have this information? How would they get this information? But it's important. Why? Because if we are so, if our world nowadays becomes so green and aware of the environment, every single phone has a lithium battery in it. So the question is, where do those batteries go? Do we track them? So everyone is screaming that the world is unhealthy, that we have to care of environment. But doesn't caring of environment starts with tracking these simple things? Who is tracking them? Nobody. Because they would not even know where to start. So it might seem something of very little importance, but on a big scale, it has a huge importance if we really think of it deeply, right? So like I don't like to argue with people, but if I would talk now with somebody who is advocating for green energy and really advocating for natural resources and everything, I'm all in for that. But it's very simple to debate with those people, because have you ever thrown out a phone? Have you ever given away your phone? Where is your battery? And during your lifetime, how many phones have you changed? Every single battery has a carbon footprint. And now it's very popular to calculate your carbon footprint. So in Davos in an economic forum, that was a huge, the whole day was talking about calculating your carbon footprint. Nobody can answer this question, because it's impossible that you will go to manufacturer ledger, you will go to the dealer's ledger, you will go to the leasing company's ledger, you will go to the scrap metal ledger, and then you will verify it all together with the regulator's ledger. There is nobody in this world doing that, correct? And if they would, how much it would cost to do that? And this is how it would look with the blockchain. So the same system with the blockchain, regulator oversees everything. Regulator does not have to maintain their own in-house ledger, okay? So we have a manufacturer that is making a smart contract, and it's all the information is put on the shared ledger, okay? The dealer can access the same shared ledger. The leasing company access the same shared ledger. The owner of the car access the same shared ledger. So at any time, I can check who was the previous owner of this car. And the scrap merchant can accept also the same ledger. And at any time, the manufacturer would have the access to the data and tell you, you know what? Within the first 10 years, 10% of our cars end up scrapped. And that's how we get proper statistics. And the car is just one example. We could do this about any business, about any product in the world, any product. And this can be done only by using blockchain technology. So just I hope that by now, so we've been talking for a bit longer than expected for this time, but okay, so we've been talking for around hour and a half. So I hope that, but then by now, by hour and a half, you have, well, maybe not 100% clear understanding, but you have way better understanding that blockchain is not cryptocurrency. That you understand that blockchain can really be adapted in a proper business, in real business, in physical business. That has nothing to do with cryptocurrency. So, and if everyone would understand that just a simple, these simple facts, okay, so just these simple things, so it would be way better, okay. So it's, yeah, like in a chat you have a amazing system. It is truly amazing system. So with the blockchain technology, basically the process would be very straightforward. So the regulator would create and populate the registration of the new vehicles, okay? So regulator is sitting on the outside of the scope, but has the access, okay? So the manufacturer adds the make and the model and the vehicle identification number. The dealer would see at any time, the dealership would see what cars, which model, and how many does the manufacturer actually has in stock. So like now, if you would go to the dealership, let's say you would go to the Toyota dealership, and let's say you want to, let's say you want to purchase the newest model of Toyota, whatever. Maybe you can give some examples in a chat room, but let's say you want to purchase newest model of Toyota. They would tell you that this model most likely is indent for X amount of months. And the reason why they tell you that is indent for X amount of months is because they don't know exactly how many units are there in manufacturer's warehouse, or how many units they will build this week or this month or even this year. They don't have this data. And that's why they tell you it's going to be indent for 3 months or 4 months. But they don't have the actual data. But on a blockchain, the dealer would know exactly how many units are available. So they can tell you it will take 3 days or 3 months or 3 years, and they will give you an actual data. Now, the leasing company also will be able to participate on this ledger, and they will see the dealers. So they will see the dealership inventory. And me as an car owner, without going to the dealership, I can access this information. I can see, okay, so this dealership has an inventory of 3 Toyota, whatever model you want to buy in this color, in this color, in this color. So you have the free information, and you don't have to call to the 10 dealerships around, because all this information would be shared between all Toyota dealerships. So then you just go to the closest one. And the same, so maybe for cars is a different example, because people don't really just go to the deal. You can call to the dealership, you can ask them to call the dealership. So it doesn't matter, you go to the closest dealership or most convenient dealership. But imagine if you are talking about clothes, if you are talking about the medicine. Okay, so like I myself, I've had experience with medicine here in Indonesia, that I'm looking some medicine for my kids when my kids were sick, and then you're going to the pharmacy, and then there's the doctor gives you prescription, you go to the pharmacy, they don't have this medicine. What do you do? Well, you can try to order from Tokopedia or online, but it takes time. Let's say here in Bali, it's not that easy to order online. So you go to the different pharmacies. When my kid was sick, I've been to 12 different pharmacies. And you just drive around like a crazy person to look for medicine. And I don't know, maybe some people would think it's funny or maybe not, but when your kid is sick, you're gonna do anything for your kid, right? Those of you that have kids, then you would agree that you would go to 100 different pharmacies, or maybe 1,000 different pharmacies if it just means that your kid can feel better, right? Imagine if this would be connected on a blockchain system. So instead of wasting few hours of your time to driving to different pharmacies, you can just go to, let's say, just example, I will use Pfizer as an example because on top of my head, that's the only pharmaceutical brand that comes. So let's say I go to the Pfizer and I see, okay, so this medicine is in Bali, in Kimia Pharma, in this address. I go directly there. I don't have to waste time anymore. I don't have to go to 20 different pharmacies. And again, without the blockchain technology, that is not possible because the network is manual and each of the parties are maintaining their own in-house ledger. But on the blockchain network, it is all connected. So it's it is quite amazing. So it is quite amazing, and that the cars, phones, medicine, that is just one. That is just few examples. That there could be thousands and thousands and thousands of examples, and there are many benefits. Okay, so there are genuinely many benefits, and like I promised you, it's not about cryptos and finance. There are genuinely many benefits in every single business aspect. So what are the actual benefits? Okay, so time saving. So transactions, and when I talk about transactions, I'm not talking only on the financial transactions, I'm talking on all transactions. Okay, so information, ledgers, everything. So transactions, so it's time saving. So transactions times for complex multi-party interactions are slashed from days to minutes. Okay, so like example before about medicine, instead of driving around 2 hours, within 1 minute, I know where I have to go. So transaction settlements are faster because it doesn't require verification by a central authority, because directly peer-to-peer, we can verify if this transaction is real. Okay, cost saving. Okay, it's a cost saving. So a blockchain network reduces expenses in few ways. Okay, so number one, so there is less oversight needed because the network is self-policed. Self-policed meaning that all the participants are interested and required to verify. Okay, so it's self-policed by network participants. Okay, all of who are known in the network. So anyone that is linked to the network would know each other. The intermediaries are reduced because participants can exchange items of value directly. Okay. Now, duplication. So duplication of effort is eliminated because all participants have access to the shared ledger. And also tighter security. So blockchain security features protect against tampering, fraud, and cybercrime. So if a network is permissioned, it enables the creation of members-only network. So in a few other sections we will discuss, because there is a permissionless and permission network. So again, there are many opportunities on a blockchain. So you can create members-only network, and you can create a public network. Okay, so with the proof that members are who they say they are. So let's say like for banking, cars, and so on, of course, it would be a permissioned network. And some public networks, those would be permissionless. Okay, so we have a question, who created blockchain? Well, there is no one person who created blockchain because how it all started, it all started with idea in forums. Okay, it started with the idea in forums, and then different, I guess you would call them IT specialists, like really specialists in computer networks and operating systems, they started to work on it collectively. So at this moment, there is no one person that actually created blockchain. So, and but how the blockchain really became popular was because of Bitcoin. Okay, so because of the Bitcoin, blockchain really became popular. Maybe if there would not be Bitcoin, we would not be talking about blockchain. So there would not be Bitcoin without blockchain, but probably without Bitcoin, we would not be talking about blockchain, because it would be just somewhere deep on the internet between some parties that they would say, oh yes, this is the future, this is how we should do business, but it would never take off. So there is no one person that created the blockchain. So we have a question. What is the value proposition of blockchain? Well, the value proposition is what we just discussed now, that if utilized properly, you save everyone's time. So you make companies way more efficient. You make businesses way cheaper. So that is the value proposition by itself. So that's a huge value proposition. Does it have risk? Again, technology itself does not have risk. The risk factor comes from how you use the technology. Okay, so it depends. Like drones, do drones have risk? You can use drones to deliver food to starving kids in somewhere deep in Africa that you cannot deliver them in person, or you can do it with the drones quicker, or you can put a drone in the sky and you can search for people in a flooded areas or in the woods or in the desert. But also you can use drones to kill people. So you can use drones to bomb cities, villages, people from the sky. So the technology itself, in my opinion, so I can only express my opinions here. I cannot talk for everyone, but does the blockchain technology itself has a risk? No. If you really open your mind and understand the propositions and the value propositions that can be done, the technology itself does not have risk. But can you use the blockchain technology for something else? Yes. But if everyone would understand, then no, then it would not have risk. The problem is that nobody understands blockchain technology. Well, not nobody, but there's like literally maybe 2% of people actually understand what is blockchain technology in the first place. And that is the problem. But as a technology itself, no, it does not have risk. It has benefits. Because once you understand how you can verify and validate, then it eliminates fraud. It genuinely would eliminate fraud. It would eliminate. Again, of course, when we talk about risks, it depends on the people. So if everything would be on blockchain, then every person would have to pay exactly the amount of tax that they should pay. So then you could not report some taxes. So there is pros and cons, I guess, depending how you look at it. But the technology itself, again, technology does not have risk, but it depends how the people are going to use it. Okay, so that's why there is a centralized system and decentralized system. So some people are against the centralized system because it does not have the risk per se, but it would have more oversight. Okay, so where is all this data contained? USA, Russia, China. this data is contained, again, there are many blockchain networks. So let's say if you have a business, you can develop your own blockchain network. So this data is contained, it's not contained in any one specific location, because this data is between all the network participants. So if we are connected to this business network, to this blockchain, so let's say Miss Helen has Helen blockchain network. Okay, so let's say you are doing business, and anyone that want to participate in your business has to be connected to this network. Okay, so you would have this information, you would publish this information to the network, and every single network participant that joins your network would be able to verify this information, so would have also this information. So by that moment, this information, okay, information is not like on internet, on a website, but you would have this information in a blockchain, okay? So you would have your node. So it would have different locations. There is no one, it's not in Russia, it's not in China, it's not in USA. So it between the network participants. So nobody controls. There is no like central blockchain that somebody controls. Each network have their own blockchain. Okay, in the future there's going to be many different blockchains. So does this blockchain change the current corporate operating system? Systems like ERP, Oracle, PART, or blockchain, or any explanation? So of course it changes the current corporate operating systems. Most of the current operating systems are actually moving to blockchain. Like even IBM is have already developed their own blockchain. So it's not developing, they have developed already their own blockchain, and they are looking for participants. So that is the reason why the companies are investing huge amounts in blockchain. It's not because it is something cool or something new, or not because of the cryptocurrency. And that is what people misunderstand when they hear, oh, ANZ Bank invested $1 billion in blockchain. So people, they have this assumption that ANZ Bank bought $1 million of Bitcoin. Oh, JP Morgan's invested last year $3 billion in blockchain. People have assumption, oh, that means they bought Bitcoin, Ethereum, or cryptocurrency. No. When JP Morgan's is the first bank that invested in a blockchain, actually. And that's why JP Morgan's in US, out of all banks, can do the fastest transactions. Not because they're using USDT or any other cryptocurrency, no. Because they share the information on the blockchain network with their network participants. Like if we look from the banking, because I cannot, because I'm not knowledgeable enough in other business operating systems. Okay, so I know a little bit maybe about travel and booking, but I don't know about others. I can only talk about financial, not because I want to talk about financial, but because that's what I know. Okay, so what is a SWIFT system? SWIFT system is just a network. You don't send any money on the SWIFT. So the cash does not exchange hands on a SWIFT network. SWIFT network is just a banking system that you have a message from one bank to another bank saying that, yes, I have the money and you will get the money. So I send this information. So now that's why JP Morgan's invested in a blockchain, because SWIFT is too expensive. SWIFT costs, not as an end user, but let's say as a bank, it costs you around €8 per transaction. Okay, then you charge clients 35 or 50 or whatever dollars, depending on a bank. But it costs you between €4 to €8. Now imagine for a bank like JP Morgan's, that they have millions of transactions a day. they spend, let's say, $8 million on transaction costs every single day. Why wouldn't they want to work on to develop their own blockchain system to be able to exchange quicker, cheaper, and more efficient? Okay, so another question: what do you mean blocks in? Okay, so this is actually we will discuss why it's actually called blockchain and why it is blocks. And for Miss Helen question, if I have one business and I have 200 people who are interested, so I can create my own blockchain system. Yes, that's correct. Correct, Mr. I think it's Mr. Nazim. Okay, so yeah, to answer this question, so for Miss Helen question, if I have one business and I have 200 people who are interested in my business, so I can create my own blockchain system. Yes, that is correct. You can create your own blockchain system, so you can share the information. So again, there are permissionless and permission blockchain systems. Okay, so one would be like members only, and the other one would be public. Okay, so that's basically how it will work. So there is no minimum. So there is no minimum actually. There is no minimum how many people you have to you have to build on a blockchain system. Okay, so anyone. Well, of course you need knowledge. That's why many people are interested in a blockchain system, not because of the cryptocurrency, and they are looking for people that understand blockchain. They are looking for blockchain IT specialists, nothing to do with cryptocurrencies. They are building actually business network. So let's say, I don't want to get involved in your business, but let's say in your business, definitely you would, I would assume that you would benefit hugely if you would have your own blockchain. Again, nothing to do with cryptocurrency. I'm not saying you need your own coin or your own cryptocurrency. That's maybe somewhere down the line. But if you have your own blockchain, it would probably make you 20 times more profitable and able to do your business. So yeah. So if you have 200 people interested in your business, you definitely can create your own blockchain system, or you can ask somebody to create a blockchain system. Okay, so we are okay. So this topic takes us longer than expected. So what I'm gonna do, I guess, how are we looking at the time? Okay, so different blockchain with different network can integrate with other blockchain network. Yes. So the blockchain can be integrated with the other blockchain network. So that doesn't mean that the other blockchain network will have all the information what you have. No, but for the information transfer, yes, there can be built bridges how to integrate with other blockchain networks. So the answer is yes, it is possible, but being a part of different blockchain network does not mean that you would have the same information as being part of that blockchain network, because you have to be a validator. And also depends if you are in permission or in permissionless blockchain network. Okay, so because we, as promised, we would be talking 2 hours, so let me just maybe finish 2 more sections. I don't want to take all of your valuable time on Fridays. I genuinely had a lot more to talk. Okay, I genuinely had a lot more to talk, but okay, we still have tomorrow as well. But if I could still take maybe 20 minutes of your time, so I can just finish another two sections, and after that we can talk more tomorrow. Okay. There's a question: how much price for blockchain operating system, or the price according to the real size of the business? To answer this question, yes, there is no one fixed price. unfortunately, because number one is it's how much information, okay? Also the future building possibilities, because you don't want to limit yourself with just one base and then you cannot build on it in the future. So it really depends. It really depends on what do you need in your business. Let's say in our business, we are also working with some of the, well, I would say blockchain specialists. So I hope so. So yeah, in my opinion. So it really depends. So you can spend, depending on what kind of application and network you are building, you could spend between just on the basics, maybe like $10,000-$30,000. But and then if you go in the huge businesses, it could be hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars. So it really depends on the size of your business, size of the information, size of the transactions. So like if you would be worldwide insurance agency, health insurance agency, of course your blockchain network would cost you a lot more expensive than, let's say, family clinic. Okay, so family clinic can build a small blockchain network, well, based on my knowledge. So let's say it would cost you less than $100,000. But of course, if you're a huge health insurance worldwide and you need everyone to be connected worldwide, it would cost you hundreds of millions of dollars. But then again, imagine how much it costs you to maintain a call centers. So every time hospital has a patient and they come in, they call to the insurance, they have to confirm the data. So how much does that cost? So the bigger you are, of course, the more you're going to pay, but in a long run, it pays you back and it makes your business more efficient. So that's how it works. So the prices can be really, you would have to go to the specialist. You would have to say, this is what I need. They would tell you what is possible, what is not possible, and then they would give you a price. So it really depends what type of business, what type of network, how many participants, public or members. So it's really depends. So there's another question. So is it true with blockchain, international transfer will be no different currency between countries, since with blockchain, the payment will be straight through with the same standard system and there are no intermediary banks like corresponding banks? If everyone would understand how to do the direct transaction on the blockchain, then yes. And if everyone would have the access to the blockchain, then yes. Then basically, but basically on the base of it, blockchain transfer and SWIFT transfer are not that different. So when you go to the bank and you transfer money that is for you. You go to the bank, they deduct your money, and they send the SWIFT message to the corresponding bank, and then the corresponding bank send the SWIFT message to the receiving bank. Okay, and it's just a block of papers with the ticks. Okay, so actually the money does not change hands. So what it makes money, the society says that, okay, $1 or €1 is worth that much. Okay, so on a blockchain system, what you can do is you can transfer the money. You can transfer anything. The fact that people are using now blockchain system to transfer cryptocurrency does not mean that it always has to be cryptocurrency. So as long as the world population agrees that now we're going to be transferring dollars, euros, and rupiah, you can transfer different currencies. So you can transfer anything. So to answer your question, is it true that there's not going to be different currencies? Not entirely, because it will depend if in a future we will have different currencies. Now, in my opinion, as long as we will have more than 2 countries in the world, we will have more than 2 currencies in the world. So I believe that there's always going to be different currencies. But even then, through banks, we are able to transfer different currencies. So of course, through blockchain, you also can transfer different currencies, just different way. So just different information process. But then again, if we agree on some asset that can be used as the means of payment worldwide, then of course you would be able to transfer this asset. Okay, so just before, because we are already at 9 o'clock, so I get reminded already that I have to remember time. So just give me maybe few minutes, okay? So tomorrow then we will discuss about how to build trust on blockchain. So just in today's, because we finished today, I was not able to really finish where I wanted to, but no problem. Okay, so tomorrow then we will discuss why it's called blockchain, how it actually works, and why we should trust. Okay, so but today then I would just want to so maybe we will finish with a piece that with just one last section. Okay, that not all blockchains are built for business. Okay, so you have to understand that not every single blockchain is also going to be built for business. Okay, because there are what I mentioned just before. So some are permissioned and others aren't. So permission network is critical for blockchain for business. So especially within regulated industries. So permission network offers enhanced privacy through the use of IDs and permissions. So users can specify which transaction details they want other participants to be permitted to view and which they don't want. Okay, so permission can be expanded for special users such as auditors who may need to access more information. Okay, so in a blockchain, you are able to layer. Okay, so once you have the regulators and you have other participants, so let's say a regulator would have the full access that they can see the full information, and maybe us as other participants. So of course, because you might because there has to be this understanding if all of us are linked to one network. So let's say in your community, if all of us would be linked to one network. Okay, so if every one of us are linked in this one network, then where do we go from there, right? So let's say now we have 157 people. So today we have 157 people here. Imagine if all of us are linked on the same network, and if everyone have access to the all information. So that means if I have access to your passport details or all of your personal information, of course you also don't want that. But if we are transferring some kind of asset or information, you would want to have some kind of information. So you would want to have, okay, this was before used by Paongi, or this was before used by Yanis. So you would not want to know who's the owner, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you need the access of all our private information. But the authority probably would need the access of our private information. So that's how you can layer the blockchain network, which so it gives you different permissions, different permission layers. So let's say I would not be able to see all your full private information, while the authority would be able to see our private information. Okay, so it would have improved auditability. So having a shared ledger that serves as a single source of truth improves the ability to monitor and audit the transactions. Okay, so like now when authority or auditor, they have to go to a few different parties and then they have to compare the data. But once you have the one shared ledger on a business side, then of course it's way more trustable. And increased operational efficiency. So it's a pure digitalization of assets, streamlined transfer of ownership, transactions can be conducted at a speed more in line with the pace of doing business. Okay, so again, we have to remember, so permissioned and permissionless, two types of blockchain networks, and the different ways how to adapt for business. So you have to remember, so just in today's conclusion, to summarize before before I get reminded that we are running out of time. So to summarize, blockchain is amazing. Okay, once adapted properly, it will be used in every single business. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you how many years it will take for each business to kick off, and finance, medicine, and travel are the ones that are building on a blockchain and building networks already. But I believe, and also tomorrow we will discuss more about finance, but maybe I will take 20 minutes just to go through all of the other businesses that will benefit drastically with the blockchain technology. Other conclusion is that it is just the beginning for the blockchain technology. It is genuinely, and I know on YouTube many people are saying, "Oh, cryptocurrencies is something like internet was in early 2000." No, it's not crypto. It's blockchain technology. It's blockchain technology what is in early beginning. And when the more people start understanding what actually is the blockchain technology, the better gonna be the adaption. And at this moment, blockchain technology adaption is already 10 times faster than internet adaption. And honestly, if you would speak with day-to-day people, most of them don't even know what is blockchain and what you can do on a blockchain. So in conclusion, it is something really amazing that could be used in any business. I genuinely cannot imagine a business that you could not make your business better with a blockchain adoption. But of course, it will take time. Okay, so in conclusion, I hope that you learned something new today. I hope it was not too boring. Okay, maybe it's not the most entertaining subject to talk about. I hope it was not too boring, and I hope tomorrow we can pick it up from here. We can finish a little bit what I wanted to conclude today, and then tomorrow we will discuss more how the blockchain is actually adapted in financial sectors and the financial industry. Again, we're not going to be talking about cryptocurrencies, but we're going to talk about the actual blockchain adoption in a finance sectors. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions, then you are free to ask.
Okay, Janice, thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the learning about the blockchain basis. And we are not yet finished about this topic because we still have for tomorrow. But minimum, yeah. Even though Janice said, hopefully you are not boring because we are learning something new here. Of course, masih bingung, pasti saya yakin ya, some of, ya, mungkin some mulai paham, mulai ngerti bahwa blockchain bukan Bitcoin, ya. Karena adanya blockchain, makanya kita mengenal salah satunya ada namanya Bitcoin. But anyway, bagi semua global people, ya, kalau ngikutin itu ya, salah satu misalnya dengan FFG community, ya, I don't know in the future, but I do believe dengan blockchain technology itu tadi Jani sudah bilang bahwa 10 kali ya faster than internet. then one day saya kebayang gitu ya, bagi teman-teman yang global people khususnya di networking, dengan achiever program easily to find a leader ya. Oke, so kita masih punya lagi besok ya. So Pak Onggi ada tambahan sebelum kami berpisah satu dengan lainnya? Bapak Onggi Hianata, apakah ada
Ya, Ling.
tambahan sebelum kami menutup?
In overall, tidak ada penambahan apa-apa. Ya, memang belajar banyak, menambah pengetahuan. Okay, so thank you, Ailing, for actually I don't have any additional information. Actually, today I learned a lot from Janice. Maybe some of you still question mark, what is this? No problem. I think tomorrow we still have time. If you have some question, maybe you can ask for tomorrow. I believe Janice will answer properly. And thank you, Janice, for the very valuable lesson. Otherwise, people only think when we mention blockchain, people directly understand Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. A lot of misconception about this. Even sometimes we are talking blockchain, and people say, how if government don't allow us to talk about blockchain? This is not correct. Actually, all the government in the world today, they start to adopt this technology. It's about technology. So
Yes.
I do believe one day in our business, we adopt this. That is why the reason why I invite Janice to share to our community, because this is the technology that we must adopt now and the future. Okay, thank you. And like Janice say, 10 times more faster than internet. Hopefully, your income in the future 10 times than now. Thank you.
Ya, thank you so much Pak Onggi. So all global people, bangun aja ya, terus connection network dengan global karena dengan teknologi of blockchain mempermudah kita untuk 10 kali lebih dari kecepatan internet ya. Oke, sesuatu yang masih baru, it's okay, tapi one day nggak asing lagi seperti kita mengenal internet ya. Bisa dari Zoom, sekarang udah nggak banyak pertanyaan lagi, tapi one day kita pasti akan tahu bagaimana aplikasinya. Dan again and again, thank you Janice, also thank you Pak Onggi untuk memprakarsai kami semua untuk belajar satu knowledge yang baru ya tentang blockchain teknologi itu sendiri. Oke, so see you tomorrow ya di jam yang sama besok ya di blockchain tentang finance. Oke, thank you so much and see you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.